Gohan is one of the most popular characters in the story and has been for years. But how well do you really know Gohan? Today we go in depth on the roots of the character of Gohan and unearth tidbits and facts that may surprise you and help you understand his inspiration. Welcome to Dragon Ball X Saiyuki, the series where we discuss Dragon Ball characters, enlighten you on them, and discuss their roots in Journey to the West, and maybe other literature as well. I'm joined once again by Jordan the Dragon Lee, and today we're going to be discussing Gohan and where Toriyama got the inspiration for the character of Gohan. He is the son of Goku. He does have tons of potential, but he eventually becomes more of a family man than a fighter. So, Jordan, man, Gohan, a fan favorite character, bro.
Yeah, Gohan's awesome. He was one of my favorites as a kid. I related to Gohan a lot when I was younger.
But how many fans really understand where he comes from? Now, we know that Goku is based on Sun Wukong, and we know that there's aspects of Sun Wukong's character that bleed into other characters like Vegeta and Raditz. But is Gohan also a Wukong, I guess, a play on Wukong?
Yes. So Wukong's issue is he had minimal control over his instincts because he was an animalistic creature. Like, he had trouble controlling his instincts. Well, with Gohan, he's half human. He doesn't really have that issue. With him, it's more his emotions. He has an issue controlling his emotions. So that's more of a human problem, and it's something that's discussed in Buddhism and Taoism a lot, controlling your emotions. With Goku,
Same thing with like the forms, like Ultra Instinct.
Yeah, and with Goku, they also really like to exaggerate him controlling his instincts as well, but Gohan doesn't necessarily have that issue. It's all about his emotions. But Gohan, he's an awesome character. There's a lot of stuff about his character that people kind of overlook. From his introduction in Dragon Ball Z, whenever Raditz showed up, Raditz was based on a character who was a representation of Sun Wukong's old ways, which I've discussed before.
He was enlightened.
Yeah, when he was basically taking advantage of being a Taoist immortal. But
he was kind of a bad guy at one point in the
he was the worst guy. I mean, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
people think that he's just like Goku, and he's really not. But there's a lot of Goku in him.
Yeah, he had what you would consider good intentions in a sense. So, like, for example, when they first gave Sun Wukong a job, his job was to watch the horse stables. And he decided to just let the horses run around and be free because, he had good intentions in that. But what he doesn't understand is there's supposed to be order in the universe. There is actually supposed to be some kind of order to the universe. It can't just be chaos. So that's kind of been his issue as a character from the very beginning. He wants freedom for, his kind and for himself, but he doesn't understand that there is an order to things, and order is necessary. That's why he's kind of considered a chaotic god. But when Raditz first shows up, like, he's trying to bring Goku back to the dark side, and Goku refuses. I pointed out before that's like a reference to the tug of war between Sun Wukong when he had developed and when he was still, like, kind of trapped into his old ways. Well, Raditz basically tries to force Gohan into regressing and becoming sort of an example of what the Saiyans used to be by kidnapping him. And Gohan, through his emotions, busts out of the Saiyan pod, which is a reference to Sun Wukong. He was born from a stone egg.
Like busting out of the stone egg, yeah.
Yeah. That's a metaphor also, because that's him rejecting the old ways of the Saiyans, which they kind of, like they talked about with Bardock, it's sometimes it seems like they don't have emotions, right?
Right, and also the purebloods are always about fighting, and Gohan's one of the early characters, even you could say before Vegeta, who was not like that.
Right, and what's really interesting about, like, the whole dynamic with Raditz and Gohan is after Piccolo kills Raditz, Piccolo is a character who comes from a basically an alien race of pacifists. And when he comes to Earth, he becomes a warrior through what he learned on Earth, which is a really neat parallel to Goku coming from a warrior race and learning a bit of pacifism on Earth. That's one of the coolest things about the dynamic between Piccolo and Goku. But what's really cool about Piccolo and Gohan is what Piccolo learned on Earth actually ends up becoming a good thing, and it becomes, the precipice for the path that Gohan would follow rather than following the path that Raditz almost set him up on.
Right. Which is a metaphor also what happened to Goku. Because Goku gets gone the wrong path too. Yeah.
Yeah, so Piccolo, he knows that Gohan, he has these issues. He's nothing like his father in the sense that he loves to fight. He wants to be a scholar. But Piccolo has learned the importance of martial arts, during his time on Earth. And you can constantly see Piccolo, concerned with the fact that Gohan isn't focusing on, keeping up his martial arts. And, Piccolo's constantly talking about how it's necessary for him to keep up his training. It's a good thing. That is something that Piccolo picked up from Goku, which is something that a lot of people overlook. There's
it was
all those,
part of his change.
Yeah, exactly. So, Piccolo is an awesome, influence on Gohan, but Goku was a huge influence on Piccolo, and the whole reason that Gohan turns out the way he does is because Goku influenced Piccolo, and I just think that's super cool. Going forward, as Gohan progresses as a character and learns the importance of martial arts, his greatest power, which is his emotions, actually turns out to be his greatest weakness as well. Because
his overconfidence too.
Yeah, his overconfidence is due to his emotions. He wants to make Cell suffer. Gohan is pure of heart, but when his emotions get the best of him, he loses sense of his pure intention. And that's really the issue that they're trying to point out for Gohan, is that he needs to stay calm, focus on the things he's been taught as a martial artist, and it's all revolves around the principles of martial arts themselves, right? As a human being, he's learning the principles that are taught in China and Japan, for martial arts, and that's kind of what's helping him tame his emotions, right?
Right.
And after the Cell Saga, when Gohan saves the world, he takes on the mantle of Great Saiyaman because he likes the idea of saving people.
Yeah, he's a hero.
Yeah, he considers himself a superhero, and I've always felt that Goku and Gohan were sort of a criticism on Superman, because Superman follows a very Western ideology of justice. The way that he goes about handling things is actually looked down upon within Eastern philosophy, kind of like how Jiren's ways of doing things are painted in a bad light. Superman is very similar, right? So Goku and Gohan, because they're pure of heart, they kind of just make their decisions based on that. Most of the time they don't make their decisions based on, getting revenge or an idea of justice or an idea of what's right and wrong. The few times that Gohan has done that, it's bit him in the ass majorly. The few times that Gohan lost sight of just doing things for the right reasons, things always go bad for him. He loses his father because he wants to make Cell suffer, Yep.
And then against Boo, he does it again and then mistimes it and gives Boo the opportunity to absorb Goten, Trunks, and Piccolo.
Yeah, and that's something people overlook. And he couldn't beat that version of Boo. Yeah, and that's something people overlook. Toriyama is actively trying to make the way Gohan's acting there. And it's really funny to me because those are two of the fan favorite instances of Gohan's behavior. And I've always thought that was really interesting and fascinating because Toriyama is going out of his way to paint that behavior in a bad light, which I've always thought was very fascinating and interesting. That whole idea of your emotions getting the best of you when it comes to putting yourself in the position of someone who's dealing justice, they've used Superman as a criticism for this before. As a matter of fact, there's this character that Jim McLahan, I hope I'm saying his name right, from Journey to the West, research, shout out to him. I found this comic called Stone Man, and they're basically pointing out that Superman has an ego just like Sun Wukong, and he may have full control of his emotions, but he doesn't have full control of his instincts, he may have full control of his instincts, but he doesn't have full control of his emotions.
Of his emotions, yeah, right. It's backwards, yeah.
Yeah, so even though he's not like Sun Wukong in the sense that he kind of gives into his instincts sometimes, he gives into his emotions instead. This is a criticism of Superman as a character within the East in general, and you can kind of see that Goku is a reflection of that criticism. As a matter of fact, Toriyama even made a character called Superman,
Superman for Dr. Slump,
who considers himself a hero of justice, but the only person he actually ever wants justice for is himself.
Yeah,
right?
And there's a lot of people like Mr. Satan has a little bit of that inside him, and obviously, you know, in superhero we've got the Gammas, and they think they're heroes, but they're not.
Yeah, like I just pointed out to you that interview where he's basically pointing out exactly what I'm talking about. I think it's the voice actor for Gamma 1 or 2. I don't know. I don't remember, but he literally points out exactly what I'm talking about in an interview. You know, just because you consider yourself a hero of justice doesn't mean you're actually a hero of justice. You can live within your own illusion of what's right and wrong. And sometimes because of Gohan's emotions, he gets lost in that. So that's sort of his spiritual journey. And that's kind of like the inspiration for his character is like he's removed a step further from Saiyans being an instinctual creature, and he's an emotional creature.
Yes, and there are differences. You know,
Yes.
there's a difference between instinct. Instinct and emotions are both internal, but there is a difference. So should Gohan ever get like a new form, it probably won't be like an ultra instinct type of thing. It'll be something just for him involving his emotions. But he's not the only one that rages out, because Vegeta and Broly also have rage boosts.
Yeah, but in their case, it's always it's much harder to get a rage boost out of someone like Vegeta within the series. He had to actually learn to care. He had to like develop pride for his family before he was capable of getting a rage boost like that.
And his family, you mean Bulma and Trunks, not his dad. Talk about that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
he actually had to develop a bond with them, whereas Gohan, he doesn't have to. He can develop a bond with someone like that. Like we saw that with Android
Piccolo.
16 too.
Yeah, 16, Piccolo, and that's the thing. People have always said, well, Gohan doesn't have any bond with 16, and it's like, well,
he's an empathetic
they're not
person.
Close friends, but yeah, exactly. He's more human than Saiyan.
Exactly.
And I've been saying that for years. Oh, we want Gohan to be the main character, and it's like, okay, I understand that, but he never will be, because he's not. He's too human to be a main character of a story that now has become about the Saiyans. It wasn't before, but now it really is, you know?
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
And we got Broly around, so it's even more like that now.
Yeah, and Gohan, you know, in Dragon Ball Online, he's actually responsible for teaching the entire Earth how to fly. And in Journey to the West, the end goal of the Journey to the West was to bring enlightenment to the world. So you can kind of look at that. Gohan's studying and teaching the world ki control and teaching, like, he's almost in a sense kind of sculpting a higher level of existence for mankind, you know. So like if Toriyama intends to use that concept in the future and have everyone on Earth like develop and be able to fly and stuff like that, you know, that is a direct reference to, you know, everyone learning the principles of Chi, which derives from Buddhism. So Toriyama himself kind of like studies this stuff, and I think a lot of times when I see Gohan, I see Toriyama in him a little bit. I think Toriyama is the same kind of nerd that he writes Gohan out to be. Like sometimes when you look at Gohan reading, like if you read the books he's looking at, it's like about Darwinism and things like that. And I think a lot of who Toriyama is bleeds through Gohan and Goku and a lot of his characters. But particularly Gohan, especially, I mean, he even drew a picture of Gohan wearing the same tracksuit as him. You know what I mean? I think a little bit of, you know, Toriyama's fascination with all of these topics bleeds through Gohan. And the way Toriyama's handling his character, I don't think Gohan has to be the main character to be relevant. What he can bring to the table isn't necessarily based around him being the main character. I think he can do something really significant and special to the story without being the main character.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be the main character, but and people want him to do cool stuff, and he is the main character of the new movie. But as far as him being the main character for the whole series, that's Goku, because the story is about Goku being a kid and then eventually being a grandpa. It's the whole life's journey that follows Goku around. Gohan has it too, but that's only in Z, and Z is not the beginning of this story. This story began with Dragon Ball. No matter what people tell you, Z is not the beginning of the story. It began with Dragon Ball. It began with Goku and Bulma. Those are our two leads. Everything else just bleeds from them, or is, it branches out from them, is what I meant to say, including Gohan. So with that being said, I will close the video. Thank you, Jordan. We'll leave a link to your Twitter, to your YouTube, and we'll talk to y'all next time.